get you in touch with stuff that you were really exceptional as a child. So I really like that piece of a lot of it is about how do we turn down the noise and how do we turn up the brightness of the colors that already exist inside of you.
With MediaTree, recipients receive one gift card with hundreds of options covering shopping, dining, and entertainment, so everyone finds something they love. Make gifting easy and impactful while helping your clients foster appreciation. Contact us today to turn gifting into your next growth opportunity.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. She's a speaker, she's a coach, she's a founder and an entrepreneur. She's a founder of Allie Stark Wellness and the co-founder of Noria. Allie Stark, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Kirby. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun today. So, I mentioned that you are a coach and you coach leaders and creatives to come up with their best selves. And I love that description. So can you talk about how you help people discover that best version of themselves?
Yeah, so I think so often we get away from our best selves because of the noise, the chatter, the distraction of culture or gender or what's expected of us. And so a lot of the ways that I help people reconnect with their best self is actually to quiet the noise, the distraction, the chatter, and turn up the brightness. So what's already been inside of you for all of your life that's, meant to come out, that's meant to flow through you. Where did you maybe take a wrong turn, or it's not even, it kind of always leads back to something great, but where can we kind of realign you back onto your path and get you in touch with stuff that may be forgotten, get you in touch with stuff that you were really exceptional as a child. So I really like that piece of a lot of it is about how do we turn down the noise and how do we turn up the brightness of the colors that already exist inside of you.
Yeah, I really like that. I think, and I don't know how it is for you, Allie, but I find that in different seasons of my life, the noise is louder and the brightness is less, right?
Yeah.
And trying to, like you said, reconnect to that. Because every once in a while, I'm just like, man, I have no reason to be frustrated, but I am, right?
Yes,
and
of course.
I think that, I at least in my mind, that goes to what you're talking about, is that all of a sudden the noise is really loud.
Yeah, and I'm even just thinking about like a particular client is coming to mind where, within a session or two, there was this distinct moment in her life when she was around 20 years old where she went off course, and she's in her 40s. And it was just a little bit of unpacking and visualization and really saying what happened in that moment, which was like, I needed more security, or I needed to make X amount of money, or whatever else it was, and really just allowing people to come back into that place where your judgment's not clouded, you're not being influenced by external things that are going on, and really bringing people back into alignment with like this life force that's always flowing through us. And it's been there, from the beginning of time.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's really cool. So you talked about working with creatives. So, I think collaboration is the key in any industry, but certainly when it comes to creatives. So what have you seen teams do to enhance and encourage collaboration?
I think that collaboration with creatives, so much of it has to do with ensuring that each person on your team feels a sense of agency and autonomy to have ownership over what it is that how they're participating in the overarching goal, right? So, generally speaking, creatives are like outside of the box, color outside of the lines. We don't like to be tamed. I think freedom is oftentimes a thing that we are, it's like a high value system. And so I think that it's how do you give someone something where they feel full autonomy over, they get to run with it, but they know that what they're doing is a part of the larger whole. So really having conversations as to who's owning what and why. I think this taps back into the piece of like best selves, what energizes you, what makes you feel most enlivened, what are you really skilled at? And then being able to come back together and having the tools to communicate effectively in order for that collaboration to come back together.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that's got to be tough too. So I think sometimes for creatives, because some of the, like when I've led creatives, and I fancy myself a little creative, right? But like when I have that autonomy, for lack of a better term, and then I give it to a client or I give it to the team and they're not all in, sometimes I struggle taking that feedback, even though it's brought in the right way. And so I think that's one of the things that I really struggled with early on in my career that I hopefully has gotten a little bit better at.
Yeah.
But I think that's the kind of thing that I think it does help collaboration, don't you think?
Yeah, and you're speaking to, whether you're a creative or a creative entrepreneur or just an entrepreneur, you're also speaking to building muscles of resiliency around rejection or criticism or people having a different opinion. And I think that um, to be an artist or to build a business or to found something, you need tough skin. You need to really be able to pivot and roll with punches. And so I think, to the part you're speaking to, Kirby, is how do you have autonomy to really get to roll with something, but both a softness and a strength of resiliency to bring it back and adapt to the larger vision that you're working towards, because they're both needed, right?
Yeah.
If you're just working autonomously and you don't want to be a part of a team, then that's solopreneurship and it will only get you so far. I don't remember where I recently heard this, but it was like, oh my God, I'm going to kind of trip all over this a little bit, but it was, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it with other people.
Yeah, you killed it. That's a good,
Okay.
it's an
Okay.
African proverb. I love that. And
Okay.
yeah, you did great.
Okay. So, and I think that a lot of that's also about leaving your ego out the door and finding humility and sticking to your guns when you really have an intuitive or gut hit that the direction you're headed feels like the right path for everyone to move forward. So, a bit of a layered answer to your question, but I think it's a pretty complex and nuanced question.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. All right. So what's something that when you meet with people, maybe this is a tough question or not a fair question, but what's something that you recommend people start doing? Like if you start meeting with them, what's something they should start doing like today to make either their personal life or their business life?
It is a tough question. I could take it in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Maybe I'll just speak to the moment in time that I believe we're all in, which is greater efficiency, moving faster, more productivity, more busyness. It kind of circles back to the beginning of the conversation, which is there's a lot of noise going on. And no matter what roles you're playing in your life, founder, entrepreneur, parent, sibling, etc., the more that you can take space to slow things down, get in touch with your nervous system, and really learn how to regulate your nervous system, understand when am I in a state of relaxation and rest? When is my nervous system revved up? Because your body's always keeping the score. Your body is your wisest, most powerful tool that you have. And you need it to be in combination. It's like I say that the heart always has the language of discernment. It's between your head and your body. So you really want to come from a heartful place. But in order to be in touch with your heart, you have to slow things down. You have to learn how to regulate your nervous system. Doing that is a skill-based practice. So just telling someone regulate your nervous system, that's never the thing I would tell them to do. I would teach them how to then do it. But I think for everyone, we live in a super dysregulated society, and the way that you can be a more fulfilled and more productive human being is to be more in touch with how do I actually slow everything down.
Wow, I like that a lot. And it is, I agree with you in the sense that it is maybe more challenging than ever to do that very thing. We've got these devices in front of us at all times. We've got people coming at us and it's funny. I've sat through many presentations, and I sat through one the other day about creativity, and they were just like, just go to silence. Like we just don't do that enough anymore. And so I think that's great advice, Allie. So this is good stuff. Okay. Final question for you. You're a coach, but who's been a good teacher or mentor for you? And what's maybe one lesson they've taught you that is stuck?
Kirby, when I read this question, I was so grateful that you were going to ask it, because it's such a simple answer for me, or it's a very easy access point. So I have been very fortunate in my life to have an uncle who was like of utmost inspiration to me. He actually passed away this year. And he was also a leader and a business owner. He ran a very successful veterinary clinic in New York State. He had Parkinson's that slowly kind of developed over about a 20-year period of time. And I think that what I was so awed by in watching him, because I got to really have a very adult relationship with him throughout that period, is the grace in which he accepted the like constant changing of his physical and mental capacity. And there was this very, I would say, borderline stoic trait about him, like stoic Buddhist trait about him, which was just about acceptance, non-attachment, surrender, letting go. I don't think I ever heard that man complain once. And he had a challenging set of circumstances. I mean, he had Parkinson's, and then eventually he had pancreatic cancer, which was the cause of his death. But I just feel like having someone in my life like that really was like, everything's impermanent, and how do you relate to life in a way when it hands you complicated, challenging, shitty circumstances, and to do it with a lot of leaning back and gracious energy and acceptance. And I think he just had so much gratitude throughout the entire process. And I think it's been so supportive for me on just both a personal and a professional level.
That's awesome. Allie, this has been such a great conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it. Where can folks find more information about you?
Yeah, so there's two places that you can find me. I have a bespoke one-on-one coaching practice. That's alliestarkwellness.com, which is, do you want me to spell it out?
Sure, if you want. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's ALLIESTARK wellness.com. And then Noria is a new business that I just launched this year and co-founded it. And Noria is an online learning platform for a new era of living and leading. So it's much more in the group coaching format, learning through courses and programs. And that's www.hellonoria.com.
That is cool.
So those are the two places to find me. And I don't do a ton of social media, so you can kind of find my socials through those realms. But my website is the easiest place to access me.
That's cool. Allie, this has been really cool. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate you taking the time. So we'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Thank you, Kirby. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.